Hello folks, this is Horace Levy again, talking to you today about prisons. The new prison that there is some talk about in Jamaica these days. It's a decades-old cry, but we knew today because the deplorable conditions in some prisons continues. In addition, there's a greater awareness on the part of Jamaicans of the rights of prisoners as human beings, and it's making them intolerant of cruel and inhumane treatment that we're handing out to prisoners. The block to the idea of actually having a new prison appears to be the misconception that it has to be a massive multi-billion-dollar building like the ones in Tower Street in Kingston or in Spanish Town, where prisoners are simply crammed in. People are crammed into what were originally slave quarters. And regardless of what crime you have committed, whether it's a string of murders or just a petty theft, all are crammed into the same building. That's a recipe for the criminality of the worst offenders infecting the small-time lawbreakers. Currently, 2 out of 5 of the inmates, 41% according to the Planning Institute of Jamaica, return to prison. It's not exactly a case of success. The new prison would reject the punishment framework and focus instead on rehabilitation and integration, and discard the mass incarceration model that's presently there. This is a projection, in fact, emerging from the National Correctional Services Policy, just released 2 weeks ago, on September 17th, by the Department of Correctional Services. This document holds up for emulation the Norwegian model, practiced also in other Nordic countries, and it's been taken aboard the document notes by our neighbor, the Dominican Republic, in more than half of its 40 prisons. The other half are still overcrowded, traditional kind. This kind of modern prison is different. There's total commitment to rehabilitation and the reintegration of inmates, or clients, as the document I just told you about wants them called. This rehabilitation and reintegration, in Jamaica's case, would target specifically the 2,400 prisoners or inmates or clients in Tower Street and Spanish Town, who are not habitual or hardened criminals. They are first or second time offenders, found guilty of petty thefts, minor drug sales, some violence but not extreme kind, and they've been would be assessed as redeemable if they're given the chance. Much of their behavior has emerged from the traceable, rough circumstances of their family upbringing, social companionship full of conflict, prolonged lack of work, and harsh treatment by police. The new prison will also necessarily include a high security section for those criminally minded and resistant to any rehabilitating persuasion. 4 or 5 of the low security prisons that Jamaica already has, for example, Tamarind Farm, which has a block which is not filled up, could provide the alternative needed to the Tower Street and Spanish Town prisons, which still need halfway houses for the rehabilitation process. But they would have the space that the Stand Up for Jamaica director, Carla Gulopta, complained is, in a recent release, is lacking in Tower Street. She and Stand Up have a school there, which can accommodate and educate about 200 of the clients there. But that's only about a sixth, 1 out of 6 who want to be admitted. They want to be admitted into the skills and vocational training workshops, which can only take 15 or 20 or 30 at a time. The computer lab is one of these. It can accommodate perhaps 15. So that's what would go on in the present small prisons that already exist. The high or maximum security kind referred to earlier is for the safety and protection of society from sociopaths. Sociopaths or psychopaths are habitual murderers, hitmen, violent gang overlords, repeat rapists, chronic molesters, human traffickers, and drug purveyors. Being relatively few, in Jamaica probably not more than 300 or 350. The new prison, which would have to be constructed from the ground up, would be small. It wouldn't necessarily therefore cost the multiple billions that are bandied around. Former UH professor of criminology, Bernard Headley, now deceased, suggested in a public forum in 2017 that the high-tech, high-security but relatively small capacity U.S. federal prison at Marion in Illinois, USA, could be a useful model with adaptations. Rehabilitative efforts with these prisoners will still continue to not abandoned at all. The advantage of separating the sociopaths from the other prisoners is huge. First and second time offenders would not be exposed to the boastful and continuous example, the influence, the guidance, the concrete real life linkages that the hardened criminals can bring to bear on their less criminal comrades in prison. This would have the strengthening result of efforts to move the clearly redeemable prisoners onto a new path. It will be a path based on education and skills creation. Rehabilitation will be getting to the root of the crime. It will reduce crime, which is of great economic value, and return them, these reintegrated clients, to productive lives. It will be a public argument also, a powerful argument with international bodies, especially if funding for the new prison is being sought. It may be pointed out too that this division matches prison objectives. The two objectives are societal safety and prisoner rehabilitation. Funding is indeed the hitch. The policy document referred to earlier puts the cost of the new direction of rehabilitation and reintegration at 31 billion Jamaican dollars, or approximately 200 million US dollars, which is equivalently to say, the document is equivalently say, this is beyond our means. Well, personally, I doubt it would need cost that much if the suggestions I have just made above were to be adopted. But that is where the matter now stands. All right. Please send your reactions, your likes, dislikes, your comments. What do you think? Thank you.